Have you ever looked at a soaring bird and felt a twinge of jealousy? A desire to slip the bonds of earth and dance among the clouds? For millennia, that was just a dream, a myth, a whisper in the human heart. But dreams have a funny way of taking flight, and today, we read diving into the incredible stories of the very first dreamers who dared to reach for the sky. Before the Wright brothers became household names, the sky was a canvas for bold and sometimes bonkers ideas. Imagine, if you will, the 18th century. No engines, no lightweight alloys, just cloth, wood, and an incredible amount of courage. This is where we meet the Montgolfier brothers, Joseph Michel and Jacques Etienne. These two paper manufacturers from France noticed something peculiar. Smoke from a fire seemed to rise with a mysterious force. Wondered, could they capture that force? They started small, building paper in silk bags, holding them over a fire, and watching them float to the ceiling. Excitement grew. They built bigger bags, bigger fires. On June 4, 1783, in their hometown of Annonay, they were ready for a public demonstration. They constructed a massive balloon, nearly 38 feet in diameter, made of taffeta and paper. In front of a stunned crowd, they lit a fire of wool and straw underneath. The great sphere swelled, strained against its tethers, and then, released, it majestically rose into the sky. It climbed to an altitude of over a mile and traveled for 10 minutes before landing. Humanity had sent its first object into the sky, not with wings, but with hot air. The age of aviation had begun. But who would be the first to ride one of these magnificent contraptions? The King of France, Louis XVI, was intrigued but cautious. He suggested sending 2 condemned criminals on the first manned flight. A brave physicist named Jean-François Pilater de Rosier was appalled. He argued that the honor of being the first to fly should not go to criminals. He lobbied passionately, and eventually the king relented. But first, a test was in order. What if the air at that altitude was unbreathable? So, for the very first living passengers, they chose a sheep, a duck, and a rooster. The logic was that a sheep's physiology was similar to a human's. A duck was used to high altitudes, and a rooster was a ground bird that would surely show any ill effects. On September 19, 1783, from the Palace of Versailles, this bizarre animal crew ascended in a beautifully decorated balloon. They flew for 8 minutes and landed safely. The animals were fine, and humanity was one step closer. Finally, the moment arrived. On November 21, 1783, Pilater de Rosier, along with an army officer, the Marquis d'Arlens, stood in the basket of a new, even grander Montgolfier balloon. From the gardens of Paris, they lifted off. For 25 incredible minutes, they drifted over the city, becoming the first humans to experience sustained, untethered flight. They weren't just passengers. They had to actively manage the fire in the center of the basket to control their altitude, stoking it to rise and letting it cool to descend. They saw their world from a perspective no human had ever seen before. They were the first dreamers to truly touch the sky. These pioneering flights ignited a worldwide sensation. Balloon mania swept across Europe. Fashion, furniture, and even hairstyles were inspired by balloons. But more importantly, they proved that the impossible was possible. They showed that with curiosity, ingenuity, and a healthy dose of courage, humanity could overcome its limitations. From these first fragile flights in bags of hot air, the seeds were sown for everything that followed. The airships, the biplanes, the jets, and even the rockets that would one day take us to the moon. It all started with 2 paper-making brothers, a brave physicist, and a dream that refused to stay on the ground. What do you think is the next impossible dream humanity will conquer? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, please give this video a like and subscribe for more stories of incredible human achievement. Thanks for watching.